Hello, guys, and welcome back to a new episode of Living and Working in the Rhythm of the Seasons. Today, I will talk to you about the period between 4 March and 5 April, and we're gonna look at what it is up to for us to do in this period to get in line with the nature as well. So, okay, let's start. So why is it 4 March and 5 April? Let me explain that first. So there's being used a different kind of layout for the seasons, which is not really based around the place of where the sun is standing to the earth, but it's more about how the seasons are looking and what the period of change is in nature. So for example, spring should imply that there's a little thing changing in nature, basically like something is growing instead of really holding its energy within, like hibernation or something. Hibernation would imply that the energy gets stored within and not expressed outwards, and spring should be the start of showing your energy outwards and letting things grow again a little bit. So basically this layout makes every season come 45 days earlier. So if we let spring start on 21st of March, then you should also have like an image of how that would look like, right? So on the 21st of March you might, for example, see some trees and they already have some leaves on them, and a lot of flowers have already sprouted on the ground. And that would imply that spring is already on its way for quite a while, right? But if we put it 45 days earlier, then you would see a period where the trees might just be completely bald still, but you might see some little sprouts starting to arise within the tree, and it might still be very cold outside because it might be still winter-ish. But it would be a realistic start of the season, because usually, also looking at ourselves, when we start off with something new, when we want to grow in something new, we have to really start small, and we have to look at okay, how are we going to do this, and get a good base around okay, what is it that we want to become. So this gives a whole different start of a process, because it's much less easy, but it's the reality of a start of something new. And basically also with me now, I want to do this, share this journey with you guys and train my verbal skills as well. But on the beginning, like, it's not always that easy for me and for anyone doing something new. So like, it's also fair to look at yourself within and see the spring within yourself. Like, if you would get thrown into the deep at the very first stage of you doing something, you might also get some failure and lose hope or something like that. And it's better to just start off and get a good foundation on what it is that you want to do. So that's a realistic view at how to look at spring. To just look at where is the beginning of all of this. So the same is with summer, that usually starts at 21st of June, and oftentimes oftentimes this period is also immediately the hottest of the summer. So our current height of summer appears around July and August, according to our seasons, if we would take the middle of summer, for example. But if you look at that period, August, usually the leaves on the trees are also changing their colors already. So that would actually imply that August is that autumn is starting, right? So then there is something not right at that point again. So this whole example just also shows us that we are not really 100% present in our seasons as well, and we don't notice the changes within ourselves as well, maybe if we don't notice it around us. Like, if we know that spring is starting a lot earlier, then we might also see the change within ourselves and within nature a lot more obvious. So these examples also show that we as a culture aren't really 100% present in the seasons and the seasons within us. So this has also effect probably on our actions and also on our natural rhythm. So this is basically resulting in an imperfect relationship with our inner nature. So yeah, that's why we start this month on the 4th of March until 5 April. Because it's the second period of the spring, which the first period started at 4 February until 4th of March. So in this second period of the spring, it's all about the person, you. So in this period, it's up to us to investigate and adventure into our own talents and possibilities, so we might get an idea of what we want to do, which should actually already be clear to you at this point, but let me explain that in next videos, which are about the seasons before this or the months before this. So basically in this period the seeds are all starting to take a real form already, and it's up to you to become actually as perfectionistic as possible, and build basically a structure on how you want to grow yourself, so you have a good foundation, so when the wind might come or the cold, that you don't get destroyed, that you just have a good base that you use to not get destroyed. Yeah, okay, nice. So fully use your expertise that you have built within the last couple of months, and just don't focus too much on the results and the looks. Just get a start on how you want to do something, and yeah, try it out. It's a period of trying out. Don't expect too much of everything. And also this is a period of harmony in nature as well as in ourselves, and you have the possibilities to become a little bigger and increase your life to a higher plan, but just keep having your attention on staying in balance and don't push too hard or you might fall. So don't use too much energy all at once, because otherwise you might lose your energy in the next periods. Because yeah, it's all about, as I told in the previous video, holding your energy within in the autumn and the winter, so that you have a lot of energy in the spring and summer. So don't use all that energy that you've stored up in one go. Just keep it in balance, okay? So I would also like to make a resemblance to the pyramids, which I have a photo right up here. Well, because in the beginning of any period of growth, it's also just that you have to take a lot of steps to get to the point of your pyramid, which might resemble your seed that's wanting to grow from within you. And that's why it's also important to just go ahead and take the first steps, because I can assume that when you look at the top of the pyramid, it might feel like it's way too high and that you can't reach the top, but that's why you just have to take the first steps to also get a good feeling of the start and get a feeling of, okay, I can achieve something. And that's also why it's good to appreciate the first steps that you've taken by sometimes looking back on the ground to see how high you have already become, because otherwise you might lose hope, because it's always like, okay, I still have to do so many more steps, and then it's just that you just don't want to keep on going, and that's not the point of it. You know, you have to slowly keep on growing as a person as you get older. So you also get a lot of wiser, and just like a tree, you have to just take it step by step, each year a little, not too much at once. And also you have like your own top, your own vision of who you want to be in this world, and it's important to always keep that as well in mind, because what also happened to me in previous times, but I see it a lot of times as well with the people around me, is that if you don't keep that thing in mind, your top, then you might also lose track of who you want to become, and then you might just fall down a couple of steps again from your pyramid, and you have to climb up again. And another cheat sheet that you could implement for yourself to not having that happen to you is by writing down the little things in a notebook on what you have achieved and how you did it, basically. And not only can you just read from it to boost your own confidence, but it's also like, okay, if you have forgotten something from which you have achieved in the past, you can always read it back, and then it's like, okay, cheat sheet said, like, okay, I needed to do that, and you will probably remember it because it's your own life, right? Then it's easier to just keep on climbing instead of always falling down a lot. So that's my tip to you, because I've had to climb the same stairs quite some times in the past and that's not really a nice thing. At least I didn't really like that. So now each year you might find yourself a bit higher on your pyramid, because each year you take a little step to becoming the person you ought to be in this world. But I can also imagine that you're increasing the height of your pyramid as you grow, because you might start to see new possibilities within yourself, and that you see like, okay, I can grow a lot higher than I initially initially thought. So again, that's why it's important to also appreciate how far you have come, because maybe at some point you're at your top, which you imagined at the beginning of the whole process, but whilst you're standing there, you don't realize it, because you see all this new potential, which makes you realize that you're only halfway your pyramid, and then you lose hope. That's also not really nice, right? So it's always good to stand still, especially in the periods of winter and autumn, and realize like, how far have I become from last year, and how was my year, and what is it that I want to do in the next couple of times? Like, what do I want to grow into the next year? So, okay, this second period of spring also has an attitude, and the attitude that is in this period is all about work and act from the best you got, your source. Not only will your talents and capacities become more obvious to yourself, but also how to improve those. And you gotta find out who or what fits you the best and what you want to do, and which things do you want to let go of, or which don't longer suit you. It's also important to focus daily on what needs your attention and look what needs deepening. And like I said, just look at the next steps of your pyramid. Just focus on those, so you get them good envisioned, so you don't take a misstep and fall off the pyramid again. So focus. Then we also have like an impulse. The impulse of this period is you do what is necessary in all modesty, so not too much and all at once, and don't brag about it to everyone. And some good questions to keep in mind for yourself on this are: 1. how do you work on developing your craftsmanship? And 2 is, how are you handling your ambitions? So do you have the right fit, and are they not too little or too much? Just try to create some balance within yourself. Don't expect too much, because otherwise you might disappoint yourself. So now we go to the undercurrent. You might get the feeling that you're already fully capable of doing whatever you are wanting to express in this year, or whatever you're wanting to grow as your seed. But don't be fooled, because your vision might not still be really perfectly clear to yourself, and that's also why it's important to be careful in implementing it all at once. So some questions that you could ask yourself in the undercurrent are, where can you act fully aware of your actions and effects, and where can't you? And also, like, what effect did your actions have, and have you seen a relationship between the already existing and the new seed evolving within? Because old and new ways can merge together, old habits and new habits can merge together to become something even greater. So that's also something, like I said again, like certain puzzle pieces can just fit together and become one beautiful image of yourself. In the future it might be a whole puzzle. So it's always good to see, like, what can I merge with something that I already have from the past, and something that gets added from the present. Now we go to the energy. It's spring, and everything basically gets filled with energy, and you might also feel a lot of energy rising up in yourself, which makes you more powerful. But in the outer world you will stay receptive. So basically trust your skills and enjoy in this period. Things will all go by itself. It's just about how you can stay in balance between not doing too much but also not doing too little. It's also important to look in this period at how, after the first 3 months of the year, you are balancing between heaven, which basically is inspiration or energy or action taking, and earth. So that's more about having some stillness or calm, or how you shape things. So another thing to keep in mind is how will you stay receptive despite all the new spring energy. And another question is, who do you owe an obligation or energy to, and who don't you? Because you only have a limited amount of energy, and it's also important to think about the energy, to use it for your own growth, and figure out for yourself, like, who do I owe energy and who don't you? Then we go lastly to the shapes and actions of this period. In a small scale you can start your inspirations and desires already. It's all about the right balance though. So already, again, this whole period is about getting a strong balance in the structure of the base of your seed. So basically it's all about, okay, expressing and taking in energy just as much, creating some kind of balance within yourself and the outer world. Because if you would give yourself less energy than you give outwards, you might feel a little bit empty and weak at some point, and that's not something you would like, right? So don't push yourself this period, but just start adventuring and figuring out for yourself what you want to do. Basically, like, feed yourself with some activities so that you don't feel weak at some point, because you might have too less energy left within your body. But also start exploring and creating some stuff. So don't push yourself in any of those things too much, but just feel and figure out what fits you best, and how you can keep your energy level in balance the most. And lastly, I want to talk I want to talk about my personal journey in this month, so you guys also have some kind of example of what it is that I'm going through, so you can maybe see some resemblance in your own seed on how to act on this. So I'm basically adventuring into my source and talents by slowly letting my seeds take form. So like the source that's always within me is something that around justice. Like I always felt like we all should have the same possibilities to grow and to be human. And well, since I had this breakdown or burnout a couple of years ago, I just really felt like, okay, I want to bring my knowledge that I have gained and I'm still gaining to the world and to everyone that doesn't have the possibilities to go to some professional or have the books to get information out that you need. So currently I'm starting to express this feeling from within me by doing these videos, and it's basically two things that I want to achieve with this. And one is my verbal skills. I'm still feeling like my thought process is a lot better than how I speak, so I want to get a balance on how I think and how I talk, so that I don't rush myself in the thinking and my talking gets all blabbly 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 because of it, because it might just be too hard for myself to express it with my words if I'm going too fast with the thinking. And as a consequence, I might also be helping some of you guys, so that's a win-win for us all, I guess. And another thing for this month is that I don't push myself too hard. I just make sure I do one video a week, so that I don't have a lack of energy in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months, and I just can keep going on this speed. And I might feel a lot more comfortable in a few weeks, and then I might increase the amount of videos, but I will just feel right now. I'm just going to explore and adventure in what it is that I feel best with, and we will see what comes next. So also thing that I want to do is I'm searching for new techniques on how I can bring this story and the information the best, and that might be something like verbal skills or editing skills or video shooting skills, and basically getting a good foundation on how I want to do this channel. So lastly, I'm also doing exercises to keep in balance with my energy, so I might also go running or walking in the forest to stay grounded and feed my energy, but also shooting videos like this or searching for a lot of information by basically expressing my energy for creating something in this world. Lastly, I also do a lot of breathing exercises as well. So I go into cold water, and then I also do a lot of breathing. But about breathing I will talk more in the next video, which is all about breathing techniques and how to do those and what the benefits are. So I will see you guys in the next video, and I want to thank you for listening all this way, and I wish you a beautiful day or beautiful night, and bye bye.